Hello and welcome to the Redmen TV for the Uncensored match build-up for Liverpool versus AC Milan. I've got Adam here, I've got John with us. We are all really bright-eyed because we stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning to watch. We didn't stay up. We watched the highlights when we woke up this morning. Obviously at the Chelsea game. We're going to talk a little bit about the Chelsea game and then we're going to talk about the build-up to the AC game. First of all, we play AC Milan on Sunday at 3:05 in the morning for us, which is another one of those. It's too late to stay up for. Too early to get up for. It's 7 p.m. in California. Chris and Paul, obviously you'll notice, are not here. They're still over in America. They will be going the game. Go over and check out all their content that they did around the Chelsea game. It's amazing. They trolled some Chelsea players. They got an interview with Henderson, with Alexander-Arnold, Shea Ojo, Tom's nodding. I remembered those names right. So there's some good stuff there. They were in the press conference. Paul's actually in the highlights of the main press conference, asking his question. And I'm sure they'll be doing exactly the same stuff. I think they are tailgating before the AC Milan game, doing the American tradition of tailgating in the ground before. So let's talk about the Chelsea game first. We stuck with the sort of inexperienced / youngest lineup for it. So the returning players for the Euros didn't come. Were you surprised by that or?
No, I don't think it's a time to really be bringing back the main people who've been away. You want to give them as much rest as possible. And to be fair, the young lads have done well. Stuart looked like he had a decent game. Ajari had a decent game. Marko Grujic had a very good game, I thought, before getting knocked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, stick with the young lads, and it gives them an experience. It means that as much as we haven't got any European football this year, they can be decent little squad players to bring through if they've got the experience.
What do you think, John?
Well, Klopp had said, I mentioned last time we did the show, that Klopp had said there were a few players ready to do 90 minutes, so you got the impression he was going to stick more or less with the players who've been training, all the way through pre-season rather than the ones just coming back. It's nice to see that we've got those players back there training now, but to some extent, I think I'm actually more impressed this year. Quite often we play the kids in pre-season and I've come away thinking, oh, no, But I've been very impressed with a lot of those lads playing.
Yeah, who's impressed you the most?
Ajari really impressed me last night. There's been little flashes of him, I think, in other games, but in the first half last night, I thought he was really impressive for such a young kid. Very, very good on the ball, great feet. Grujic as well, obviously, he's going to be special, I think. And I was quite pleased with Mane to start with last night. I think he faded a bit later on, but of our three forward players, he was the one who was the most impressive, I thought.
Yeah. Do you think there's a chance that Ajaria could actually pull himself up into first team contention, or is he just too competitive in that
I must admit,
position?
that thought went through my head last night because I kept thinking to myself, he's only playing because Ojo isn't ready. And that's my worry for him, is that you won't see him again now till next summer.
He drops down the pecking order just because those players.
Yeah.
But does I think, because they're not technically all Klopp players, they're not all Klopp signs, there is a chance there where we've seen how ruthlessly he can be with Ibe. Ibe has moved on very quickly. Yeah. There could be a chance that he could get in there. What do you think? Do you think there's anyone out of that tier who have played in these pre-season so far could force themselves into match day squads?
I think for how they've played, definitely like Ajario, people of the younger age group who really aren't kind of what we'd class as the kids. Now we haven't got really Harry Wilson or anything like that on there. They've been left at home to play under 23 games. They've got the ability to go through. Like you look last year in the Premier League, there was a number of young players who got a chance and proved that they can do something. Dele Alli was playing League One football, League Two, even whatever. Marcus Rashford was nobody. Our young lads can come through and maybe make an impact. You've got injuries that we always get injuries at unfortunate times. If they keep performing, they take their chances in pre-season, you get your chance to, stick your hand up and go, why don't you give me a little bit of a go here?
Yeah.
That they could come through, they could get 20 minutes at the end of a game, score a goal, score two goals, get a chance.
I think their worst problem is that all our better young players are in midfield,
Yeah.
and all our better good players are in midfield as well. We haven't got any brilliant centre-backs or any great full-backs coming
it's a
through,
shame. That was the point I was going to ask you about. It's a shame that we haven't got a young centre half who's coming through or a full back.
We've got Gomez, obviously, who is very young still, but obviously we haven't seen him for
And
a
it's
year
strange how
now.
you do that delineation, isn't it? Because I don't consider Gomez a kid, even though he's the same age or younger
19?
than a lot of
he
them.
is
Because
very
we
young.
bought him in and we put him straight into that first team. But ultimately, Grujic as well. You look at him. I wouldn't consider him a kid, even though he's younger than he's younger than Ryan Kent. You know, he's younger than Randall, who I would still, and it's because they come with that pedigree of having played football.
Cham's
or
another
you've
one.
paid money for
he's
them.
still very, very young.
So how did Randall do? Because Randall is one of those ones who...
I'm not overly impressed by Randall in terms of thinking that he's going to likely to threaten Klein for his place. You know, I don't see that at all from him. But he did okay. You know, nothing wrong with his game. I just don't think he's quite top notch.
Yeah, so I agree. I don't think he's there personally, but with the loan of Flanagan seeming to be going through, he's not gone on the tour. With the sale of Smith gone through, and with us not being massively enamoured with a Randall, do you think we need a fullback? Do we need two fullbacks to come into the squad?
Definitely need a left back, which is the most obvious statement ever. The right back situation, reading a few things what people are putting out on Twitter is that, you know, could Milner go and fill a job there if you really needed it? Could you bring someone back in? As much as Randall's been taken on that tour, I kind of feel he's a little bit been taken there just because we need a right back to play the odd game. I think Randall is an okay player. I think he'll get a decent career at like Championship level. I don't think he's going to be good enough for Liverpool. But it's weird because Randall suffered from quite a lot of hate as not being good enough and he's carting out that Flanagan doesn't get. Flanagan, I think, is a tidy player and should be in Liverpool squad eventually after he has a year out. But for me, Conor Randall probably is the best thing for his career now is maybe go out on loan. But Liverpool would definitely have to bring in another full-back to do that. And we look like left-back's going to be the last thing.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Alexander-Arnold has played at right-back at youth level, but he's not been given... He played there for, I think it was the Huddersfield game, but he only got a few minutes there. When he's played, he's actually been played in a more advanced position. Yeah. So it doesn't look like Klopp's trying him out in that to see if it's a...
I think he got 5 minutes there last night, didn't he, at the very end of the game when... After all the changes have been made.
Yeah, so you're looking at it and you're saying he doesn't seem to be being given the chance to make that statement to say, here we go, if Klein gets injured, I'm the one who plays at right back. I would look at it and think, objectively looking at the squad, we possibly need two fullbacks. But who knows, Klopp might just have that trust in Randall, or he just believes that Klein's just a Terminator and is not going to get injured.
Or if Gomez comes back,
or
Gomez plays right or left back.
How far away from fitness is Gomez, and is he really that respected and that rated that he covers both fullback positions? So you don't.
He does a job as kind of like the old-fashioned fullback, though, doesn't he? Gomez. Like when he came into the Liverpool team when we played Stoke, and it was like, oh god, we're playing an 18-year-old centre back at left back. He did that job of just being, I will stay at left back, I will do my defensive duties, I'm not going to go up the pitch that much. That when you compare him to Moreno, who goes up the pitch and doesn't really do a lot at the back sometimes, that's why he was rated quite highly, because you knew he was going to do the job he was in there to do, wasn't going to offer you anything going forward as much. And he could play on the right, he could play on the left, you could fit him in, but what's going to be best for his development? Is it going to be getting him into a team where he plays as a full-back in a kind of a part-time role, or is it going to be blood him in the under-23s as a centre-back?
Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? I think as much as he plays alongside the players who you want him to be playing with is a good thing, but maybe a season as being the captain of the under-23s, being the main man there at centre-back would benefit him. Centre-back who came in, Clavan, made his debut for us.
Thought he had a great game.
Yeah, how did he?
Very impressed with him. Very steady and solid. Even went forward a couple of times, looked decent on the ball. And for a £5 million centre-back,
fourth choice, yeah. So this brings us on to, it was a feisty game. So his main moment that most people will be watching is Clavan getting kicked by Fabregas.
I think the referee sort of spoilt it with his yellow cards. He didn't really need all them yellow cards, but there was no prisoners taken, were there?
No. Well, we got 5 yellow cards, and they got 1 yellow and a red, which was a terrible tackle by Fabregas.
Awful. It's not even in the same time zone. I know they're playing in a different country, but you got to get used to the pre-season tour when you actually make a tackle.
Yeah.
It was in a no. there was no reason to make the tackle. Nothing is happening in the game for that tackle to even be made. There was no, it wasn't like Liverpool were on the break, and we were talking earlier saying about Paul Scholes got away with he can't tackle. Fabregas is getting to that as well, and it's not even like it's a clumsy tackle like he just doesn't have control of his legs. It's a lunge. Yeah. It's a really really bad tackle.
Lunge, yeah.
If you haven't seen Chelsea's Twitter account, they're like, we don't know if it's a red.
It could have been a red for 3 different reasons, couldn't it? The studs up part, the lateness of it, and then the fact of the follow through takes his back leg as well. Yeah. No, it was a terrible. Fortunately, from the press conference, Clavan said, Richard Klopp said that Clavan wasn't injured, so he should be okay to come back to training. And he was asked about Matip, and he kind of avoided it. Because he was asked in the sentence was, will he be back for the beginning of the season? Yeah. And his answer was, of course, he'll be back for the beginning of the season. He trained. It kind of led us to say that he's probably not going to start definitely against AC. So you're probably looking at the same defence. We've got no options at left back to come in. Moreno's the left back. The only option could be a returning Klein, starting at right back. Do you think he'll throw Klein in from the start, or will he? No, he'll stick with Randall.
He'll be managed. I think, especially if Klein is your out and out main choice. You don't want to be blooding him in too early, straight after the Euros. He could even bring him on for like the last half an hour, maybe at left back even, because Klein has been put there. But I think Randall's going to be starting at right back there.
Yeah. The other main thing that happened in the game from affecting us going forward was Grujic clashed heads with Traore, and he went off with a concussion, and he's actually, again, from the press conference Klopp did after the match, he's in hospital. He's concussed, as Klopp referred to it.
You don't take any chances
with
concussion, do you? So he's unlikely to play again until we're back home.
Definitely. I think so obviously that's a shame, because he's looked really promising in that game and in the pre-season games before that.
Yeah, but he's fit enough now, isn't he? That's the thing. We've still got other players who need to get match time, so it's not really the end of the world. He's not going to be.
He was replaced by Lallana in the centre mid, which is quite interesting because there was obviously other options on the bench that could have come in. Lallana's come in there. Do you see that being just horses for courses, we needed to make a change, or actually an indication of where Lallana may move to?
Well, I'm not really sure about that, but what I thought was he brought Lallana on to try and give us a bit more movement up front, because that's his strength, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we were struggling to break down Chelsea. All game we struggled to break them down, but we were chasing the game then with playing 10 men, and I think Klopp probably thought we should win this game now, so we'll bring him on, and that was a good enough place to play him. But I don't know about where he's going to play, because he's going to struggle because he doesn't score goals, and we've now got people in the team who hopefully will. So
probably also just a little bit, for the people who did come back who could play midfield, he's probably just a little bit further along, because he played quite a bit of the Euros. Henderson, coming back from an injury, didn't play a lot of the Euros. That Lallana's probably the fittest out of the bunch.
Yeah. Also, my logic of it was, my thought initial wasn't, he's not going to play centre mid for us in the 2 beyond the 3. He's naturally the fittest player, probably the fittest player in our squad, definitely up there. Yeah. He's probably the one who is, he should go to where, you're going to give him, you probably would have looked to give him 20 minutes, because that's where on the progression he would have been. He got the extra time because he can handle it. Yeah. So,
that's probably true.
The goal we conceded from a set piece.
I was so disappointed in that. First set piece, cross into the box, headed goal. I thought, there we go again.
Exactly. So nothing's changed, unfortunately.
I haven't had a chance to sort of dissect it at all, but I know that it was Firmino and Grujic who tried to prevent the header, and they both were flat-footed in comparison to Cahill, weren't they? Which is just the same thing that was happening all last season. I'm not really sure why Firmino was there anyway.
Yeah, why is
leave him up front?
It looked like we were defending zonally, and we just had those Terry and Cahill were just on their own on the penalty spot. No one was tracking their run in. No one was going to be in the way of them. And if you're going to have your big centre half coming forward for a header, we want Lovren on them. You want someone who's tall, who's actually quite strong. And it just seemed a bit strange that we allowed them to be so deep out and have a free run in. It wasn't like we even put any traffic in the way to try and stop their run in.
No.
But it pretty much comes back to the reason why I haven't watched the Liverpool corner since 2009 live. So it stays the same. Liverpool can't defend corners. I don't know when it's going to change, but
Yeah, it's what several managers. Is it just in our DNA to?
Doesn't even. It's not determined by the personnel either. But any defender
You can you could go out and buy the 4 best, 2 fullbacks, 2 centre halves. Analytically, they can't do anything else but go out and just buy the best at clearing corners from the Premier League, and we'd still concede from corners. Would you say Karius has anything to do with it? Is it one that you're just absolving Karius at all?
I don't know. To be honest, I haven't even looked at what his role in it was, but he was nowhere near it. So I know that.
He couldn't have got to the stupid thing about it was the traffic that was there was in front of him.
Karius.
They had quite a few men on the front post, and by him that he wasn't going to be able to get out to it and stop that header. It was a little bit too far out for him to be coming. It would be one of them where if Mignolet had come out for it, he'd go, oh God, why is he coming out that far?
Yeah.
The whole thing that got wrong is we had 3 men on the back post and none of them got to the ball.
None of them did anything to affect the goal.
We had the whole team in our penalty area and we still didn't get to the ball, basically.
which is worrying. We can laugh about it, but
there's talk about us. We need a left back, but people were saying, but this guy they're looking at, he's only 5'6". Why are we buying short fullbacks? Why don't we buy big ones?
Yeah.
But I'm not even sure height isn't necessarily the fact that Grujic is not small.
No. Firmino's actually rather tall compared to Moreno and Klein, but it is. It's we joke, but it is rather worrying in the sense of there's going to come a point where you say, okay, Klopp's had a free pass pretty much. He's been coaching them for a while now. There's players there. He's had these players, his signings in pre-season. It's a pre-season game. Ultimately, it'd be better to have won. If we start conceding early on in the season from corners still, when does there come when does the backlash? When do we start saying, why can't we just solve this?
I think the little bit of our problem with corners isn't the fact that we don't get to the ball or that we give away a lot of corners as well, which is worrying. But it's where we put our men. Like, as much as if the ball's going to the back post, your men in the middle and your front post are still important for it. And we seem to be that people get a run on us and get the powerful headers in, and we're trying to just head it away. We need to be a little bit further out.
Yeah,
so if they do whip it in, we've got men who can stop people running in, getting a decent header or a decent pace onto the ball. And I think a little bit of it might be that our defenders that have been there before are not bad mouthing Mignolet anyway, but Mignolet is a little bit like, to use a Pokemon Go reference, Magikarp. He just flaps at everything. I'll just try and do that. That we've gone closer to him to try and protect him, but we need to come out a bit now.
Yeah.
Because Karius can come out and claim. But the crosses I've seen him come out and claim, he looks like, I'm going to have my elbows out if you get in my way. Like he did with Lovren a little bit later in the game. I'm coming out. If you're in the way, I'll punch you. I don't care. Where
Which
Liverpool
is exactly how you want your defender you mean your goalkeeper to be, isn't it?
We're a bit too nervy. Because we think we're going to concede.
That was one of the main criticisms everyone had of Mignolet before it went really bad, was he naturally draws his defence closer to him because he won't come out off his line.
Absolutely.
So we got...
we can be optimistic and say, well, that's the only goal we've conceded. It could just be an aberration that it was a corner.
And it was really early in the game.
Yeah, maybe it was just one of those things. But
get them out of our system.
The jury would have to be out for a couple of more games and a few more corners, but... And it didn't sit well though, did it? Because we've conceded so many.
It just felt so similar to what you've seen, doesn't it?
I did think the team were actually pretty lethargic to begin with, to be honest. I think they were a bit surprised at how well Chelsea were organised. I was surprised at how well organised they were, because I thought they weren't as far advanced in terms of their pre-season as us. And yet they were really, really well organised right from the word go, weren't they?
You look at the team that they started with, though, they've got a lot of players who've played with each other quite a bit, who know each other's movements, know where each other want to go naturally. Where if you looked at ours, how many times has Stewart played next to Grujic in midfield? A couple of them are kind of still getting used to each other a little bit, whereas Chelsea 4-2-4 of people who are used to playing with each other. Even with Traore up front, towards the end of last season, he was getting some game time, so they know what he wants to do.
And again, they had that blend of, you can look at it of, you've got Ania, Loftus-Cheek and Traore and a few other youngsters who would have played together in the youth team, mixed with
and the system they played was very simple. It was everyone behind the ball and then hit the wings very, very quickly. Fast. And that was very, very effective.
Yeah. So we got beat. As you said, it's the first goal we've conceded in pre-season, first defeat of pre-season. Is it massively important that we get back to winning ways against AC? Is it still just purely about fitness?
I think for the fans, you want to win, but I think it is just about fitness, to be honest. Because I think he'll mess the team around again. There'll be different people in. There'll be lots of changes in the game. So, at the end of the day, it's the fans who want the win. I don't think Klopp is that bothered really.
Just because you call a pre-season tournament a fancy name and call it prestigious. Still pre-season.
Everyone wants to win the International Champions Cup. I don't even know.
You always want to beat Chelsea, so
Yeah.
I was more concerned about us beating Chelsea. I'd rather we did that. But,
So AC Milan have got a new manager. It's Vincenzo Montella, the former player. I remember him from Champ Manager days and being very, very good wing back. They beat Bayern Munich on pens. They're in exactly the same. I don't know how this tournament works because you don't play everyone, but but they're all everyone in the world is involved in the ICC or something. But they drew 3-0 and they beat them 5-3 on pens. Is that right? You actually watched the game.
I watched.
So you are now our Milan correspondent.
God.
Tell us all about Milan.
It was more
Me and John will get a cup of tea.
It was more that Bayern Munich didn't want to win. Would be the correct way. The first goal for Milan, Nyang, he is very quick. Bayern Munich were just prattling about with it at the back, and he nicked it off them and scored. The second goal for Milan was pretty much Sunday League football of we'll head it around, see who gets to it. Oh, look, they've scored. And then the third goal, one of the lads has a shot from like 25-30 yards, and it comes off a Bayern Munich defender's backside and goes in. It was purely because Bayern Munich didn't look like they cared.
Yeah.
And I've even wrote down how they scored their penalties, so we'll send that to Jurgen later.
Yeah.
If we do go on penalties,
he has asked us
lovely chip down the middle though.
Really?
Oh, that was a very, very nice goal. But Milan, they looked strange. They lined up 3-5-2 to start off with. Then they looked like they were playing 4-4-1-1. Then they looked like they were playing a flat four at the back, and it was kind of everyone else was quite fluid. But for the Bayern Munich goals, one of the goals that Bayern Munich scored, they had AC Milan had 6 right backs. The entire centre mid, the entire midfield just went to the right, and there's only one Bayern Munich player who got a cross in, and there was nobody in the middle to stop them. So I think a lot of them are still a little bit. Where are we meant to pick up in these responsibilities?
So we've got Jonathan has been doing some experience with us, and he's wrote some blogs about it. And he said that Montella doesn't believe exactly in a formation. Set formation is very tactically fluid, and that can be a positive and a negative. So it could be a really good test for us to defend against, because we don't really know exactly how they're going to play. But as you've said, they're very new at learning this.
Yeah.
It could be a good chance for us to attack a team that's almost learning as they go. And hopefully get to see some goals. They've got some good players though still, because they only finished 7th in Serie A last year. They're not the AC Milan that when you hear AC Milan you remember. They remember them having the greatest players, and you remember them being Champions League finals, winning.
It would be nice if we were in a game where we scored a few goals, and that's just to see us get our players going.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of players who need a couple.
Mane, I'd like to see him score a goal, just to keep the momentum going for him. And if Wijnaldum comes in, and you just like to see us get kick-started in terms of goals, because we looked a bit lightweight last night, to be honest. We never really looked like scoring.
It'd be nice to have a striker on the pitch.
Well, it would, wouldn't it? To act a proper striker, yeah.
And again, I think Firmino does a job as a false nine, and at times last year it worked really well, but ultimately, Daniel Sturridge has returned from the Euros now. Danny Ings is there. He was playing in pre-season. Yeah. You've got Origi, who's returned from the Euros. Benteke's still part of the squad.
Yeah.
I'd like to see us have an actual striker lead in the line, and Firmino can get his fitness back from deeper. But who would you go with if you were picking a team?
I'd probably start with Ings up there, because as much as you want a blood Sturridge in him, Sturridge is made out of paper mache sometimes. That with Ings and with a team who are quite fluid, if they're going to be going between a 3, a 4, there's going to be loads of gaps. And I think Ings gets into gaps quite well, and he can link up with people coming forward. The thing that you're saying about Mane with AC Milan, I think it will be his game where he gets his goal, because their fullbacks are so far pushed up and the gaps in between the midfield and the defence when they are transitioning between a 4 and a 3, that you can hit them on the break. The goals that Bayern Munich scored were hitting them and people being out of position. And with his pace, if he gets going, he's going to ease past them. They didn't press particularly high up on him, so he's going to have time to get on the ball and get running at full pace.
It'd be good for him to actually, because he's had a good game yet again. I know he faded to and he got substituted, didn't he? But he just looks so direct and he looks so explosive.
He looks like he wants to attack. That's what I like about him. And if he gets a chance to shoot, he does.
Yeah, it'd just be nice to see one go in for him, just to start that
get
ball rolling.
Going. I think Ings probably should start as well. He's probably the fittest.
Yeah,
and he's had more game time, and I think he deserves a shot at it.
A chance, in the main team.
And then obviously you feed in Origi and Sturridge at some point in the game to get them started.
Another player for AC Milan, former Liverpool player, Suso. Suso's return against us. He scored 2 against Bordeaux in their friendly before the Bayern game.
Paul's still obsessed with his hair.
Yep. So nice to see him back. Is he a player? Is he a player that you don't?
I really liked him. But we seem to have an awful lot of players, like Pacheco and people like this, who look really, really good, but never quite take that extra step that you need to turn them into well beaters.
Suso had Christian Nemeth disease, but he got talked up on Twitter. But I think that it gave everyone that feeling of like, oh, he is actually going to do something, and you kind of got the odd view of what he could do at reserve level, or when he got a little bit of a chance, he looked tidy on the ball. But it'll be nice to see him back to see if he's got better, because we have got a clause of getting him back if we want to.
Wow.
So because we've done the Bosman, I think there's like a little bit of a deal there, but
he always had good feet, and he did have an eye for goal in that. An awful lot of players we've had just didn't have that extra bit in them. He like a lot of people, didn't have great, brilliant pace, and he never really looked strong enough.
Yeah, so he's going to get a hat-trick, isn't he, in this friendly?
Yeah,
he's going to be amazing. He's going to blister someone for pace and then just look incredible. So end of the show. We're not going to do score predictions because it's a pre-season friendly.
7-6.
I was going to go with...
Well, we can if you want to.
Yeah,
I don't normally like doing them. I was going to do something different. So, 2 things you want to see and 1 you don't.
2 things I want to see. I want to see us score a few goals. So, I'm talking at least 3.
Okay.
I want to see... what else do I want to see? That's difficult.
Go on, have you got something you want to see before we come back to John?
Markovic score.
Markovic.
Get
on the pitch and score.
Yeah.
Prove that he could stay.
Yeah, he could even play it, right wing back, because he's played there before.
Because he was brilliant at it. I want to see Sturridge get back on the pitch.
Yeah.
Just to see that. I want to see pretty much all the players who were away at the Euros getting near the
I'd like to see Origi as well, to see because I'm expecting a big season for him.
Yeah. I don't want to see us concede from a set piece.
I don't want to see us concede from a corner.
Yeah.
I'd like us to score from a corner.
There we go.
Remember when we used to do that?
No.
Yeah.
And I've been supporting Liverpool for 33 years, and it's never happened in my life. No. Yeah, God, it was about 5. A centre back scoring from a corner. It's at least 3 seasons before.
The only goals I can think of a centre back scoring are all Skirtle against Arsenal.
Skirtle, yeah. That's in Sammy Hoopier.
No. He got 7, didn't he, in the season? We almost went close. We almost won the league, but it's still too tender. So that's we're going to wrap it up there. We are playing AC Milan. I've told you the times at the beginning, so I'm going to look at them again. It is 3:05 again. I don't know why it's 3:05, but 3:05 in the UK, 7 p.m. if you're in California. Don't forget to watch all the post-match content. Chris and Paul will be putting it out there. They're going to be at the press conferences. I think they've got access to the mix zone press area again, so they could hopefully be getting great interviews. Chris holding on to Henderson's hand. You'll understand when you watch the video, he would not let that man go. He was supposed to only ask 1 question. He got 3 out of him by essentially just keeping him there, and Jordan being too polite to say, "Get off my hand, you guy who beat me on FIFA once." So go over and make sure to remember that. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. Go over to the website and subscribe to it. We've got loads of content coming out, pre-match, post-match, rounding up the transfers, rounding up all the Liverpool news. And we will see you after Liverpool hopefully return to winning ways and have beat AC Milan.